Hey everyone, it's Thursday. I'm Carla and this is Opening Chocolate, and I'm here to talk chocolate with you. And today we're going to talk about a maker out of Australia, and that is Jasper and Myrtle chocolate. So they were started in 2016 by Li Peng Monroe and her partner Peter Channels out of Canberra, Australia. Canberra is the capital of Australia. They were actually on holiday in Western Australia in a place called Margaret River, which is really Western Australia. And Margaret River is kind of famous for its breweries and wineries. So they were actually visiting a chocolate maker in Margaret River while they were on vacation, and they tasted different cocoa beans for the first time. And Li Peng just got this in her brain, and she started thinking about it, and she thought about it all night, and she woke up and told Peter that she wants to make chocolate. So for her, it started out as a hobby, as it does for many makers. She was still working in public service, but it snowballed into something more than a hobby, where she'd always wanted to have a business. So she thought, this is the business that I'm going to start. So she is entirely self-taught, did lots of research, learned through trial and error. She sourced her first beans from a health food store. Peter built her what she calls a chocolate pod in their backyard, so she could store her chocolate equipment there. Started with secondhand chocolate equipment, as most makers do. I don't know what else I can tell you. So let's see. So let's talk about the name, Jasper and Myrtle. It's kind of an unusual name, but to them it has both personal and Australian meanings. So Jasper is a semi-precious stone, and it's found in Western Australia. And Li Peng spent many years in Western Australia. A myrtle is a kind of plant a tree that's common in New South Wales, which is where Peter's from. He's from Newcastle. So both Australian and personal in the name itself. What else do I want to tell you? They source their beans from Papua New Guinea, specifically the Bougainville region. They visit there every year. I'm just looking at the bar trying to think what else I can tell you. I can't think of anything else right now. So let's flip the camera around and we'll talk about, I'm going to open this bar today, the Rock Salt and Wakame Dark. Oh, I'll tell you about Wakame. Wakame is kind of interesting. Cool is not quite the right word, but interesting is the right word. So we'll flip the camera around, open this up, and I'll talk to you a little bit about the Wakame and the bar design and that sort of thing. Okay, so let's talk about the bars. So they started in 2016, and if you look here on this bar, see if I can get a nice close-up on the camera there, it says Royal Melbourne Fine Food Awards Silver 2016. So 7 months into making chocolate, they entered it into this contest and they won a silver award. They actually also won a bronze award for their lemon myrtle and macadamia nut milk bar. So right away they're off to a very good start. The packages are done, the design is done by a local graphic designer. Her name is Caroline at Callian Design Co. And the package is based on the flavors. So the flavors in the package are kind of reflected in the design itself. Okay, so you can see this one has gone on to since win a few other awards in 2017. Let's take a look at the back here. So we've got Jasper and Myrtle, handmade chocolate from Papua New Guinea. Yep, okay, sweet and salty, tangy. Oh, this is interesting. Made in Australia from at least 34% Australian ingredients. So let's look at our ingredients. Cocoa beans, cocoa butter, wakame, Himalayan rock salt, and sugar. Well, we know it's not the cocoa beans, and we know it's not the Himalayan rock salt. So I wonder what other ones it is. All right, and yeah, okay. So that's it for the package. I want to tell you a little bit about wakame. If you've wakame is a popular thing in Asian food. You probably call it seaweed. Not the same as nori. Wakame is in brown algae. Nori is in red algae. Most people call it seaweed, like seaweed salad, or the seaweed that you get in your miso soup sometimes. This is Undaria pinnatafida, and it's a kind of kelp, but it grows in cold, temperate coasts. It's been cultivated in Japan since the Nara period, so like the 8th century. The first time it shows up in some kind of Western documentation is in the 1600s, the early 1600s, in a Japanese-Portuguese dictionary done by Jesuit monks. So it's been around for a long, long time as a food. Not as long as cacao, but it's got a decent history. So there's actually sea farmers, which I think is super cool, in Japan and Korea and some other places, like off the coast of Brittany and France. They grow it. Tasmania, so maybe the wakame is Australian, I don't know. Parts of New Zealand, they grow it. So yeah. The funny thing about wakame, though, is that it is a fairly nasty invasive species. So wherever they grow it, it kind of gets out of control and affects the rest of the environment that they're around. So it's kind of this interesting thing. It's a food that we use, but invasive all at the same time. So if you've had like a seaweed salad in America and the US, not in Japan. If you say seaweed salad in Japan, you're going to get something unexpected. If you've had it, it's kind of got this like umami, salty kind of flavor to it. So I'm curious to see how it is in this bar. So let's open it up and give it a try. I'm having some allergies right now, so I hope that I'm getting all the aroma that is present. Okay. Considering this has come all the way from Australia, I have to say it looks pretty good. So they have a nice mold. That's pretty. Just a couple air bubbles there. Not a serious problem. Just a tiny. Sorry about that. I had a bit of a technical difficulty that I had to fix. So we've got the bar. It looks nice. It's shiny. It looks like it's in temper. The mold is, I believe, a lemon myrtle. And let's see if we can hear a nice snap on this. Oh, that's a pretty good snap. Not a bad snap at all. So you can see the wakame on the back, the dried wakame. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to warm this up. I'm going to warm it up with my thumb. Cocoa butter has a melting temperature or a melting point near body temperature. So when I warm it up, it will release its volatile compounds and I'll be able to smell it better. And I'll come back and talk to you about how it smells and tastes. So this one is quite a unique bar, and not unique in a bad way, just unique. So whenever I taste a Papua New Guinea cocoa bean, I expect some kind of smokiness, and that has to do with the way that they process their beans. This one is one of the least smoky Papua New Guinea beans that I've ever had. When I smell it, I get an earthiness, a very mild cacao, maybe a tobacco, maybe some smokiness. When I taste it, again, I get the earthy, the tobacco. It's almost like I don't even know how to describe it. This was a hard one for me. I had to taste it. I had 4, in between when I turned the camera off and I came back, I tasted it 4 times. And I'm still working on figuring it out. The flavor is still in my mouth. So it's a little bit of this tobacco-y, herbal, smoked kind of flavor in the cacao. I do get the umami from the wakame. I get the salt. And then the cocoa also has, about midway through the melt, it hits you with like the citrusy lemon, and that carries through to the end. And then I get the again, the aftertaste. The finish is of the tobacco-y, herbal earthiness that I can't quite nail down. So very interesting bar. I can see why it won awards, because it's different and it's got this unique flavor profile going on for it. So interesting to taste. Let's flip the camera around and finish up. All right, so that was Jasper and Myrtle out of Australia. They are, let's see what else. They call themselves flavor chasers. And if you go on their website or someplace that sells their chocolate, you'll see that they've got some unique flavor combinations to them. So Himalayan, salt, and Wakame. I've only had one other bar that has seaweed in it from Zotter. Black and white sesame. They have bars that have coffee, bars that have espresso, bars that have orange and cayenne, I think. All kinds of fun flavor combinations that they're experimenting with. So that's fun that Li Peng calls herself a flavor chaser. That's cool. So that is Jasper and Myrtle. If you like this video, if you like hearing the stories behind the makers and the plants and everything, make sure you like the video and subscribe. And I will see you next week. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think if you would try seaweed and chocolate. See you then.